tonight has toured all around the country, and on August 9, he's set to hold an encore performance of his show Good at the Sydney Comedy Store. Please welcome the very funny Tom Cashman.
How's it going, motherfuckers? It's good to be here. I want to talk about men, if that's all right. I've got a fact about men. I don't know if you know this. Don't mean to disappoint any men, but the sexual peak for men happens at 17. Johnson Street, Leichhardt. That's my house. Bit of a fact for you. Some men get embarrassed when they're buying condoms at the supermarket. Right? Whereas personally, I get way more nervous when I'm returning them. It's just me. Talking about men, I reckon there's a big moment in every guy's life, probably every guy watching, every guy in this room. I think when you're about like 14, 15, no one talks about this moment though. You'll just be walking along in a Kmart or something, just minding your own business, and a little toddler will run around the corner and run into your leg, and his mum came running after him or something. She said something like, "Billy, get away from the man." And then they just walked away, and you're left there like, the man? Before I was a boy, now I'm a man. No one knows you're having this major rite of passage in aisle 7. You're like, fucking hell. I've got to put back these Tarzos. I've got to go buy an esky and 9 ties. It's all over. Talking about men, I reckon there's some creepy men out there, so there's some weird guys. I was talking to one particularly weird guy about a year ago. This is the kind of story that sounds fake, but it's true. I was talking to this guy at a pub. I didn't know him. He was like a friend of mine. And after about 2 minutes of talking to this guy, he leaned, an attractive woman walked past, and he leaned into me. He's like, "Oh, you know what I'd want to do to her?" Which is never a good start. It's never something nice. No one's ever like, "Oh, you know what I'd want to do to her? Wouldn't mind paying off her HECS debt. Wouldn't mind giving her one list of good restaurants around town. Wouldn't mind leaving her alone." It's never that. It's always something weird, but this is particularly weird because he leans in, he's like, "Oh, you know what I do to her?" And then he paused for like too long, to the point where now I'm sitting there awkward, like I've got to ask a fucking follow-up question or something. So after a while, I'm like, "What do you want to do to this poor woman?" And then he said this, he's like, "Wouldn't mind having her as my own personal Tamagotchi." I was like, "Man, I don't think you're familiar with the Tamagotchi device." As far as I remember, there are only 3 settings on those things. Play with it, feed it, and clean up its shit. Doesn't sound like a very good deal for you. It sounds like a better deal for her, if anything. You're going to be a very committed butler. But I said something like that to him. I'm like, "Man, I don't think you know about Tamagotchis." But then he said this. He was like, No, I've got one. And you know what I mean. And it was at that point, for the first time in my life, I was sitting there legitimately thinking, this guy is fucking his Tamagotchi. Which is very weird, I'm sure you'll all agree, for 2 reasons I was thinking about it. Like, first of all, how does that even work? What's he doing, just rubbing it on himself or something? Surely his dick doesn't fit in that tiny reset hole. That's one of the smallest holes I've ever seen in my whole life. But weirder than that to me is like, if that was me, if I had a children's toy at my home that I was regularly using to service myself sexually, and then one night I'm thinking, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go out to the pub. It's a Friday. I'm going to go out and try and meet some normal human people. If that were me that night, I would make a huge effort not to mention the Tamagotchi. That would be goal number 1 for the evening, I reckon. I'd have small talk prepared. I'd have a fake story about tampons ready in case I start saying Tamagotchi and need to veer off at the last minute. This fucking guy talking for 2 minutes, first woman he sees, he's like, "You know what I want to do to her," and then paused. At the time, I thought the pause was for effect. Looking back, I just think he couldn't think of everything non-Tamagotchi related to say. Just got a big wheel of fortune, wheel of things to say, spinning in his head with just a Tamagotchi on every segment, like, "Oh, no." And I've been like, "What do you want to do?" He's been like, "Oh, she'd be a Tamagotchi, actually." That would be ideal. I think it's hard being a man, though. Very, very sorry. It's definitely not as hard as being a woman, but that just means it's the second hardest, and that's still pretty hard. That's what I reckon. But I'll give you one example of it being hard being a man. There's not many, but this is one. When women put up a photo of themselves on Facebook or Instagram, immediately her female friends will comment publicly underneath, being like, "Oh my God, you're so beautiful. You're the prettiest girl I've ever seen in my whole life. Every step you take is a miracle. Every breath you breathe is God inside of a Jesus dream. Everything you touch is gorgeous. Everything gorgeous reminds me of your touch. You're my guiding light. These are emojis. It's weird. I'll put up a photo of me. I get private texts from my male friends saying, kill yourself. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you very much. Thank you.